and these are just things that I wish somebody would have told me that I'm now sharing with you guys. Hey teammates, and happy Monday. I plan to do a week in my life or a day in my life. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but I do want to take you guys along the journey like I always do. I am officially moving out of my apartment. As you guys know, I had bought a house, so if you haven't checked out that vlog, be sure to check out that vlog. And so I was supposed to move out a long time ago, but then other people that were supposed to take over my lease, I guess applications didn't go through, so then they were like, you could just keep it to the 15th, and today's the 15th, and I've been dreading coming over here, but it is bittersweet to know that I've lived here for 2 years, and the bright-eyed bushy Tenia ready to come and conquer their education. Like, I've changed a lot, you know? And so this is a space that helped me learn to grow and to be able to do that. So I'm super excited and grateful that I had this opportunity. And I was so scared when I signed my lease. Like, how am I gonna pay for it? Like, I forget that teaching is like my big girl job. I'm just packing everything up, officially moving out. It is pretty bittersweet, but you know, life moves on. It's good. Now it is time to go. So I'm just going to pack everything up, and I do want to clean before I leave as well. I remember when I was praying for an apartment, and this is what I got. I was so happy, so blessed. So one last overview. I'm about to clean the tub and finish cleaning in here, but yep. One last view of my room. I'm definitely gonna miss it. I cleaned out my closet, got rid of some stuff. It's crazy because during spring break, I was purging out my closet for you guys to know that I was moving. I got paint all over myself, but one last goodbye to my apartment. Thank you guys for coming along this journey. And 2 years absolutely flew by, but it's been real, it's been worth it. And I'm so excited to see what this next chapter has in store for me, and I'm excited for you guys to come along with me as well. So, peace out, apartment. Hey teammates, and welcome back to my channel. So now it's a few days later after I've moved out of my apartment, and I just feel like this whole vlog is about me growing and changing, and I want to take you guys along this journey because I know my hair looks crazy, but I'm about to go dye my hair, and I want to take you guys along this journey. My mother always told me my hair is beautiful and thick, and that is it for sure. So I'm going to my girl Leah, shout out to her. I'm just gonna put it in the bun right now. And I'm drinking my green smoothie. I've been on a smoothie kick lately, especially to get my fruits and veggies in with coconut water. It's so good. So as I talk about me growing and changing and dyeing my hair, I'm so excited to see how it turns out, but also super nervous. I also think that I should share 5 things that I wish I knew before I became a teacher. So I'll share a few here, and then a few at the salon, and maybe a few when I get back. But before we get started, the verse of the day is Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure of heart, for those shall see God. Which is Matthew 5:8, and it just talks about being a pure heart. And I've had this new concept of purity, whether it's pure in your thoughts, actions, mind, body, and soul. So yeah, that's just a great reminder. But now as I grow as a person, I'm also of course growing as a teacher, and these are just things that I wish somebody would have told me that I'm now sharing with you guys. So the first thing I wish that somebody would have told me was, no one has all of the answers. And I think sometimes we think the district, the teachers, the lead teachers, the whatever person in your building has the answers to figure out how a student learns best. But you can listen to all the resources, all of the, yes, resources and tools are good, and even advice is great, but with you and your student, nobody knows how they behave, or even all the advice, the best advice in the world, you have to tailor it to your student, which I didn't know. I just think, oh, this is what this person's telling me to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do it and copy and paste it into my classroom. Not quite going to work that way. And I also think that it's super important that as you are learning your classroom and figuring out, yes, having a bunch of tools in your toolkit, the more tools, the better for sure. But Also realizing that if you teach that student whatever that strategy is the first time, they may not get it the first time. So it's okay to do a second, third teach because every student is different. And I think in our education system now, it's more like, oh, I taught this lesson, you don't get it, move on. Fortunately, we have a diverse group of learners that may need repetition more times than times allotted. So that's why I feel like small group is really important. The second thing I wish somebody told me is that you're not going to be great your first year of teaching. I feel like there was a lot of trial and error, especially depending on your class and what students you have. But it's okay to try something and it not work and then try again. I feel like the definition of insanity, I may have said this before as well, is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for the same results. Now when our baby's education is on the line, and that sense of urgency I feel like has to be leveled up for all of us, because if they don't understand these primary concepts now, whether it's reading, writing, math, arithmetic, whatever it is, if they don't get these now, then it's only going to get harder as they go on to other grades. Trying your best is the best that you can do, and realizing that only you as a teacher know your best, not everybody else and what they have to say. This kind of goes hand in hand with point number 1. But I'm about to go to my appointment and I'll catch you guys later on. Alright teammates, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that montage of me at the salon. I did dye my hair and get some color. It looks a lot different now that my hair is natural. I know my students are going to be like, what in the world? Because they're in my business. No, every time I come with a new outfit, a new hairstyle, they're like, Miss Brown, you got your hair done? Yes. Just like you go get your hair done. But no, I feel like representation is super important for our students, and I just know that it's going to be quite hilarious when I'm going to try to film the reactions. But yeah, so I got some brown highlights. I think it just also not makes me look older, but grow into the person that I'm becoming. And so, yes, I love them. And I cannot believe this is my curl pattern. I've worked super hard to get my hair this healthy. And this is my curls. Like, what? And the shrinkage is real. But needless to say, I absolutely love it. So shout out to my hairstylist / friend, Aaliyah. Girl, I love you. So going back to me growing and changing, as you guys have seen me move out of my apartment now into my house, and then just growing and changing as a teacher and becoming the person that God has called me to be. So I went ahead and talked about 2 things that I wish I knew before I became a teacher, and now that I'm taking into my 3rd year of teaching as a lead teacher, I'm super excited. But the first thing was, no one has all the answers, so just be aware of that. And the second thing is that you're not going to be great your first year of teaching. Just to be mindful that as a first year teacher, you literally don't know how to teach until you get thrown into the ringer. Yes, student teaching, internship, practicum, all of that is helpful, but until you have a classroom of your own, it's sort of like learning how to drive. You don't learn how to drive sitting behind a desk, and yes, those things are helpful. Having your first year in your belt and getting to know your students and putting into practice what you've been taught, I feel like is the best teacher. So your first year, do not be too hard on yourself. And there are going to be ups and downs throughout the school year, just like I was. You can look back at my whole channel of my whole first year experience, and you can see how that was. But the third thing I wanted to let you guys know is that data is king. And at first, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I'm like, oh, why is admin talking about data again? Data. And I don't believe that data shows the full scope of a student's potential or what they're able to do, especially if they didn't eat that day, or they're just having a rough morning and the test is still that day. Like, nobody takes children being children into account. But I do believe that we need to be shown products, or like being shown, results for what we're teaching. If you say you taught them this, okay, they should be able to know and understand this. Or if you taught this to them and they didn't understand it, what did you as a teacher do to help those misconceptions? Number 3 is data is king. And I know I can go on and on about that, and I feel like the way I was able to be successful so early in my career was not only am I teaching students how to read, but even when they perform on tests or state assessments, they are performing to the best of their ability and to the third grade standards. Number 4 would be content knowledge over curriculum. This sort of ties in with number 3. I've talked about this many times on my channel. Curriculum does not fit every student, every class, every situation, every setting. It's not even culturally relevant, but we're being taught to teach. We're being told to teach it. The curriculum is great. Use it as a guide, not the Bible. I know somebody posted that. During my first year, they also thought the curriculum was the Bible as well, but it's not. It's just a guide to where you're going and what students should know and be able to do. I also talked about that in the previous video. So if I could have told myself my first year teaching, do not focus so much on what you're supposed to be teaching, instead of focus on the skills for that grade level, because the skills will be what is passed on from grade to grade, as opposed to curriculum. Do they know this textbook, or do they not know this textbook, or this book that we're reading in context for ELA, or even, well, that's an ELA example. I know for math, those skills do build upon each other, and I feel like ELA, especially what I teach, it could be a little more lackadaisical, but making sure that they have those skills, can identify, know how to summarize, reading, writing, all of that. So last but not least, number 5, I would say experience is your best teacher. And I want to put power back into like the teacher's hands, because you guys, we are the professionals and we know what is best for students. Even if you don't know, I think as a collective, you can ask people in your row or your team. That's when your team lead and stuff like that come into play. But you're with that student day in and day out, and you know what's best for them. So I believe nobody knows what's best for our students than we do, because we're with them day in, day out, and we know what barriers they have to overcome to get to school, or what barriers they may be facing, or what educational gaps they may need. A test may not show that, the principal, district, whatever may not know that, but you do know your students. And so I encourage you, for the last point to drive this home, is to meet your students where they are so that you can build them up. And I know some people just like to stay on, well, I teach 7th grade, so I'm going to stay at a 7th grade level. Well, if a student already feels frustrated and defeated, how are we going to bring them up? And I believe in teaching to all your students in your classroom, because even if they started off really low, they could make at least some progress instead of no progress, because you just left them in a corner, and not left them in a corner, but you just didn't cater to their educational needs as well. I don't believe in that philosophy as a teacher. And I do believe that this is a side note, we are just gardeners in a seed, and it's our job to plant those seeds, but we may not see them grow, but we can water them and speak to that seed all day long. And then you never know, in the 2nd or 3rd quarter, they may surprise you. Oh, I do know what you're saying, or I do have been paying attention to what you've been teaching. And so just never give up on a child. I also want you to remember that as well. Overall, yes, this is a hard career field, but we are called to each and every one of you guys are called to each and every one of this. And I do believe that God has called us in education at such a time as this, and he doesn't make mistakes. So thank you guys so much for following along my journey and growing and changing. And comment down below something that has been growing and changing you, because we're all on this journey together, and I appreciate you for being a teammate and subscribing down below. So go ahead and leave that comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.